All right. Welcome to another episode of Black Swan Live. Tonight, we're going to be talking about exactly what got Jimmy Kimmel fired. That's right, folks. Jimmy Kimmel has been fired. I can't say it wasn't that you couldn't see this coming. Jimmy has said some crazy stuff in the past couple of years, and if you think about the perspective, like the ability to be able to speak and say whatever it is you want, the one thing that I don't think Jimmy Kimmel realized is that his own people will turn on him, will serve him up if need be. They will just dust him aside just like that. So, and he's been on Trump for the past probably 8 years plus. Almost every single night, even when Joe Biden was the president, Jimmy Kimmel was constantly doing monologues against Donald Trump. And again, I think Jimmy Kimmel's naive if he didn't think that he could be canceled. His own people canceled him. And he's on the left. And I'm not trying to defend Jimmy Kimmel, but I think after a while what happens is they're throwing all this rhetoric out there against Donald Trump, against JD Vance. And we're going to be talking about Charlie Kirk in this episode because that's the central. This is basically one of the reasons why he got fired. But they just keep throwing this stuff out there. And I wonder sometimes if they look over their shoulder and they go, you know what? If they did this to Charlie Kirk, what's preventing me from something what's preventing something from happening to me? What's going to stop someone from either doing a hit on me, whether I'm on the left or on the right? If they don't like you, they will cancel you. We've seen this. They did this with Ellen DeGeneres. They got bored of her, and then boom, and she was on the left as well. I find it fascinating, and I don't want to gloat over Jimmy Kimmel being fired. I just find it interesting that he didn't see it coming. I find it interesting that you think that you could just keep slamming the president and one day you're not going to lose your job. That's the part that I find fascinating. So Jimmy, as he usually does, he pushes the envelope. And this time, I think there was an outrage of people on the right as well saying this is insane. Like, you can't have a host like this disrespecting the president, disrespecting Charlie Kirk, especially at in this time of grieving, in this time of mourning. And he kept pushing the envelope, kept pushing it. So I just want to show a clip of when it was announced, and then share some of my thoughts. And then I want to show the actual clip as well from Jimmy Kimmel's show, and to show you what he actually said. So let's go to this.
He has just announced here that they will be preempting the very well-known show Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. That's confirmed by ABC, and it comes at a very tense time with many of the issues we've been covering tonight. There was a backlash on the right because Jimmy Kimmel, after the Charlie Kirk shooting, made the statement that he viewed, quote, new lows with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and with everything they can to score political points from it, end quote. I've just read part of what Jimmy Kimmel had said, which includes what sounds like an inaccurate reference to the shooter. We've followed, of course, that case closely on this broadcast. Andrew Weissman, DOJ and FBI veteran, is here with me. And I kind of want to start with saying this is a pretty big piece of news when you look at the backlash or punishment of speech, something we've been covering. Right. Also, I would say in a news broadcast, if that were on ABC, you would be probably expected to issue corrections or deal with any material that deliberately or not, over time became inaccurate, right? I don't actually have the exact date of that statement. I just wanted to let viewers know that. And the FCC leader.
All right. So what I also notice is people are on watch right now. They're on high alert because this guy had to read the quotes from Jimmy Kimmel's show. And then it's like, I don't know the exact day or whatever it is. Like, he has to be so careful because he could be next on the chopping block. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the rules anymore. You could be taken out. Obviously, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, murdered in front of thousands of people. And I think the left are getting a little bit nervous as well now, especially when they see someone like Jimmy Kimmel lose his job and was on the left. So all of a sudden they're realizing they're not in charge anymore. They're starting to realize that, and now they're going to have to go back and go, man, did I slam Christians? Did I slam churches? I'm telling you, these people will be looking over their shoulder, not so much that Christians are going after them, but their own people will take them out, as in get them fired, get them removed, get them canceled, get them framed, get them set up. There are no rules. And that's what we've been trying to say this for a long time on the right, that they changed the rules. It's no longer you could just speak your mind. And they've been accusing us of coming after them and all this kind of stuff. But it's like, we speak, we argue, we debate and everything. We don't go after people and kill them. We don't go after them to take them out. But the other side clearly did not want Charlie Kirk speaking. Clearly. And then he was removed. He was murdered in front of his family. So there are no rules when it comes to that side. They don't care about their own as well. They will carve their own people up and serve them for dinner. So let's watch what let's watch what Jimmy Kimmel had to say. Let me just go over to this. I think it's right here. There's two clips I want to show. Okay, we'll watch a little bit. I might have to flip through it a little bit to find the exact spot, but I think we should be able to find it together. Let me just cue it up here. All right, here we go. This was how long ago was this? This was 5 days ago. So I think this is what got him in trouble. Let's just go to it and play it.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Thank you for joining us here in Los Angeles. The second largest city in our bitterly divided nation, where, like the rest of the country, we're still trying to wrap our heads around the senseless murder of the popular podcaster and conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday, whose death has amplified our anger, our differences. And I've seen a lot of extraordinarily vile responses to this from both sides of the political spectrum. Some people are cheering this, which is something I won't ever understand. We had another school shooting yesterday in Colorado, the 100th one of the year. And with all these terrible things happening, you would think that our president will at least make an attempt to bring us together. But He didn't. President Obama did. President Biden did. Presidents Bush and Clinton did. President Trump did not. Instead, he blamed Democrats for their rhetoric. The man who told a crowd of supporters that maybe the Second Amendment people should do something about Hillary Clinton. The man who said he wouldn't mind if someone shot through the fake news media. The man who unleashed a mob on the Capitol and said Liz Cheney should face 9-barrel shooting at her for supporting his opponent blames the radical left for their rhetoric. And then the man who on 9/11, 2001, bragged that his building was now the tallest building in New York, which wasn't even true, by the way, visited the Pentagon for a 9/11 memorial, which...
So I find it interesting that he used Charlie Kirk so that he can get into his monologue. That's it. That's what you call cold-hearted. There is no care in this individual whatsoever. None. Zero. So in some ways I say good riddance. Like, he'll probably start up a YouTube channel. He'll probably start up his own podcast or something like this because they canceled him. That isn't the part yet. That's just a little taste. So I'm going to fast forward it to where I think it's right here. Somewhere in here.
Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition, though that seemed to be news to Lawrence.
I'm just...
But here I am. You know, down in Florida, there's always something stupid going on. No state...
No, that's not it. Let me see. Where is it? Actually, give me 1 sec. Let me find it. Apologize for station identification. There's 2 clips that are almost identical. I'm trying to find the other one here. Let's see. I don't think they took it down. Let me see. I just had it. Strange, it disappeared. For some reason, it's not there, and I had it. I had it a few minutes ago. So bizarre. I'm hoping they didn't take it down. Basically, he went on to basically say that Donald Trump has been known to say horrible things about people on the left, and then now all of a sudden we actually have somebody that's actually been murdered in front of the public. So they're not even looking at the evidence that there are people, and I believe there's more than one person involved, that there are people, there are actors that are out to take away our freedom of speech. And they'll use this as a springboard to bring in things like, we got to get rid of hate speech. We just have to get rid of it. Because, and this is how they'll spin it. They'll say, look, because Charlie Kirk was producing hate speech, this is what got him killed. And you'll see this all across the various networks. They'll say things like this, that because of what he said, he basically got what he deserved. And so what we need to do is we need to crack down on hate speech instead of really trying to sit down at the table and actually understand what's going on here. It's the freedom of the right to speak. This is what's at stake right now, because if you bring in a law a rule that says we have to cancel people because of hate speech, and we as Christians go, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we don't want anybody hating us for preaching the gospel. That makes sense. Well, you have to define that. What is hate speech? Because me preaching the gospel could be considered hate speech. Me talking about something about Israel in the Old Testament could be considered anti-Semite. I've heard rabbis mention that Paul is anti-Semite, that the gospel of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are anti-Semite. So if you are lumped into a category of preaching the gospel from the King James Bible, that could be considered hate speech down the road. So this is a very slippery slope, and it feels like it's a bit of a setup. You have someone like Charlie Kirk that is an ambassador for young people all over North America to give them the confidence to be able to speak for truth. And you take him out in front of his peers, the people that he was sharing the gospel with, debating with. You take him out, you remove that, and then you start spinning it and saying, well, what Charlie Kirk has said in the past has actually aggravated people. And there's some crazy people out there because Charlie Kirk said some crazy stuff. So of course somebody's going to go out there and shoot him. So Charlie Kirk shouldn't have said those things because he should know better that there's crazy people in North America. And this is the slippery slope, because now you can start categorizing people that and form a position and say anyone that performs hate speech is going to either get canceled or fined or jailed, and it can get worse. So we have to be careful what we wish for. And Jimmy Kimmel is a prime example because he didn't know the rules. He was doing this for the past 8 to 10 years, slamming Trump, all kinds of stuff. And then he even made jokes about Donald Trump after he got shot. Daily. So I think he felt comfortable taking pot shots, no pun intended, at Charlie Kirk, and then using it as a springboard to go after Trump and say Trump's a hypocrite because he said some crazy stuff. And this is what happened. Charlie said crazy stuff and got killed. Trump has said crazy stuff. And we should stop people from saying crazy stuff, because that's hate speech. Because this is what happens. We get people all angst on the left and on the right, which is what Jimmy Kimmel said. And then they turned on him as well because he didn't know what the rules were. He didn't know what the rules of engagement were. And here's, if you're listening, Jimmy Kimmel, to me, there are no rules. These people will take anyone out. They will even take out their own family, as in their own TV hosts, their own people that are making them money on ABC, NBC. They will turn on them in a heartbeat if you don't toe the line. We've seen this with Tucker Carlson. We've seen this with Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens. If you don't follow a certain line, you're going to get canceled. It's crazy out there. Yeah, and I couldn't find the clip because there is another clip. And let's see. Let me see if I can find it on my phone. And then, when I first watched it as well, I was like, that didn't seem that bad because of the record that Jimmy Kimmel has had in the past. I'm like, I've heard him say way worse. But I think what had happened was because he injected Charlie Kirk at the beginning, which was horrible, you don't use that for your monologue. You don't use it as a springboard to jump into slamming the president. And that's what he did. He shoved Charlie Kirk down and jumped off of his back and started going against the president, saying, "You said crazy things." So that equals the reason why Charlie Kirk got killed. Don't believe me? Look at this. Here's the response from Nexstar ABC. That's who Jimmy Kimmel worked for at one time. Now he's unemployed. So let's just see. Oh, wow, that's tiny print, isn't it? Let's see if I can blow this up. Let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. There we go. Let's see here. All right. So Nexstar ABC affiliates to preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live. So this is September 17th. That was today. Company objects to talk show host comments on the killing of Charlie Kirk. So let's try and get rid of this thing here. There it is. All right. Let's see. Irving, Texas, September 17th, 2025. Nexstar Media Group, Inc. today announced that the company's owned and partner television stations affiliated with ABC Television Network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live. For the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show, Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments made by Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC affiliated markets. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe that they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located, said Andrew Elford, president of Nexstar's broadcasting division, continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest, as in you will never work here again at the current time. And we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move toward the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. So that was their official position. They are moving as fast as they can away from Jimmy Kimmel. And I think Jimmy Kimmel is going to be sitting long and hard in his hotel room or wherever he lives and go, what the heck just happened to me? How did I get canceled so fast when I've been slamming President Trump for the past 10 years and nobody said anything? Even before that, even before Donald Trump ran for president, Jimmy Kimmel was slamming him. So I think it got to a point where the right was constantly sending in messages, emails, phone calls saying, you got to do something about this guy. He is told that the family is in mourning towards Charlie Kirk, or because of Charlie Kirk losing his life. And you got this guy that's just going on and on about the president, and he's totally insensitive to the family because he basically used, again, like I said, used Jimmy Kimmel as a springboard. And it's insensitive. It would have been better for him to say, like, we just had a tragedy on American soil. We had one of our own, an American, killed in broad daylight, and this is horrible. And we need to actually reflect, and we need to sit back and think about why this happened. And let it pause. And then you can go into your monologue with whatever it is, but you just bring down the temperature. You don't have to go hard against Donald Trump and then say he's been pointing barrels at the media, that he's been threatening and all kinds of stuff. Like, there's more to it. I'll show you this one other clip here. Because I think Jimmy Kimmel was just going on a bit of a tear, and it got to a point where people were like, we can't rein this guy in anymore. Let me just see if I could find it here. Yeah, right here. No, that's not it either. My goodness. Let me do a refresh because they're all disappearing on me. This is crazy. Okay. Let's see here. See if I could find it. Why is it so hard to find his stuff now? Wow. I'm just looking through all my stuff and videos that I watched, and here it is. I think, yes, I think this is it. I apologize, guys, because this takes a bit to find. I think. Okay, we'll watch this whole piece because it's got to be in there somewhere. I just can't find it. So let's just start from the beginning. We'll just go through it. That way we can see the whole context, and I don't have to slice it up and give you pieces here and there. It'll be just easier. All right, so let's just go to it, and then you guys can be the judge. Yeah, exactly. I do need a producer. With this little piece of software, it's not always the easiest to flip through stuff. All right.
That's very kind. Everybody's like in Hawaiian shirts and stuff tonight. It is unseasonably sweltering here in Los Angeles. It's hot, right, Guillermo?
Yeah, mucho caliente, mucho hot.
That means, for our bilingual viewers, that means it's hot.
It's hot, mucho caliente, yes.
Right. But even though the air is thick with humidity, we can breathe a little easier tonight because Donald Trump is out of the country. He is. Our parents left the house. Trump is in the UK, or as he has to be reminded not to call it, the UC. Paddington Unbearable is in England for an official visit with the royal family. Wait till he finds out tea time has nothing to do with golf. He's going to be very upset. The royals are expected to greet the president and first lady tomorrow, but some clever Brits are already rolling out, well, I wouldn't call it a red carpet exactly, but rather a King Kong-sized photo of Trump with his buddy Jeffrey Epstein. This is right outside Windsor Castle, where the Trumps will be staying. Melania, don't look out the window. You don't want to. That sign, which, by the way, really put Kinko's to the test, is.
Let me see if I can forward here a little bit.
But I'm sure. But this morning, Trump warmed up for his date. He needs to make a decision. You want to be a dictator or just a dick? Because you can't.
See, I think it's comments like that that eventually catch up to him. And for some reason I can't find the clip. There was two clips that look exactly alike. One was 8 minutes and one was 10 minutes. If I find it, maybe I'll post it a little bit later, or if somebody can find it in the comments. But again, I think what happens is you start pushing a little bit too much from the left, and you just keep pushing the edge, pushing the envelope, and then all of a sudden you get a note or a sticky note posted to your door saying you're fired, you're removed until further notice, and all this kind of stuff. And I think that's what's beginning to happen, and it's horrible. And what I've also noticed is people are actually taking things out of context as well, saying things like Joe Rogan is telling people that uh, it makes sense that people were probably celebrating. Well, Charlie Kirk was there, kind of like a 4th of July, and that's not what Joe Rogan said. Joe Rogan was being sarcastic and saying that's what, because people were saying that probably somebody accidentally shot off their gun and killed Charlie Kirk. That's what some people were saying. And Joe Rogan went off of that like a comedian, saying, yeah, because that's what people do in America. We just shoot our guns everywhere at rallies like this with kids around. That's what we do. He's being sarcastic to say that's not what we do. And somebody used that soundbite to say that Joe Rogan is saying that this is normal. So you see how they mix it up and they try and stretch the narrative and manipulate things. I think this could actually go both ways. This can actually hurt us down the road, especially when they start tightening things up. They start firing people on the left for saying things. And what we do is we applaud them because we don't like people like Jimmy Kimmel always coming against the people that we like. I'm not saying it like in a hate way, but I'm just saying that it gets old after a while. If that's all you do, your monologue every single day after the president every single day, it gets old. And so then we applaud when he gets removed, but we're not realizing that removal of someone like this can actually paint a target on us as well, on the right side. Because then the authorities could come to us and say, well, you had no problem with us removing Jimmy Kimmel because he said something bad about Charlie Kirk or the president. We applauded that and said, that's good. He said something, you canceled him. Bravo. And I'm saying, be careful, because the same thing can happen to us. I say, continue to let people like this speak, because then I could use sound bites to come against what they're actually saying and use that as evidence. But if you take it down and you erase it so that it's and you bury it, and then you tell us and you say, I thought that's what you wanted. I thought you wanted him canceled. And they're basically playing us, because now we start having our guard down and we go, oh, good. Somebody on the left killed Charlie Kirk, and it looks like the Democrats or the people on the left are actually cleaning up the mess on their side of the street. But what I'm trying to say is this is a decoy. This is a setup to get you comfortable to think that you're safe on your side. So then you're like, oh, wow, okay. I guess they're not allowed to come against Trump. They're not allowed to come against someone that was assassinated. So we can continue to preach the gospel until the next president comes in and says, you said some stuff about our political party, about the people that we like on the left, so we're going to have to cancel you. So there's an enemy that is at work that is not on the left or on the right, but is basically trying to take our ability to be able to speak freely. And they're using us, they're using our way of thinking against us because we're like, yeah, they shouldn't be allowed to say that. So then they cancel that person. And then we're like, good job. And we pat them on the back, not realizing there's somebody behind us ready to cancel us. And this is how it works. This is how it goes around and around and around. So, yeah, like I expect more of this. I expect more of this to show up. And I agree with you. Like I thought Jimmy Kimmel was basically a horrible person. I just thought like it was he wasn't even funny. Uh, I remember watching a TV a documentary on Netflix. I think it was called The Axe Hitchhiker, The Hatchet Hitchhiker. And I watched that documentary, and Jimmy Kimmel put this guy that was mentally ill, that actually hacked the guy up with a hatchet. He put him on the show, and he made fun of him the entire time. And I think right from there was kind of the turning point where I was like, you know what, this guy just, he has no morals, no ethics, nothing. He brought a person that was mentally ill on his show to make sport of him so that he can get higher ratings. And it was horrible. It was distasteful in every way. And I believe his ratings were just going down, down, down. And I think eventually they're like, you know what, we need an excuse to cut this guy because we got to do something else. It's not working. Because what people are doing is they're not watching these late night shows anymore. They're watching shows that are on YouTube. They're watching Tucker Carlson. They're watching Candace Owens. They're watching Megyn Kelly. All these people on the right, and they're desperate right now. NBC, ABC. They're all desperate because they're losing their major players in that space, and young people aren't watching the news. They're not sitting up late at night watching their news. They're scrolling on their phone. They're looking at TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts. And if you're not interesting, they're going to go to the next thing. They're not going to sit and watch ABC say the same thing as NBC or Fox, and just one after another. Doesn't matter left or right. They're not going to sit there and watch it. And I believe this company that was responsible for getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel realized that they're in a little bit of a tailspin. They're losing their audience. And with Charlie Kirk being removed from this equation, I think they saw all of a sudden what the true audience is, and it's not the young people. Because now the young people are starting to rally, and they're starting to join the social media influence. They're starting to create their own channels and speak out. They're starting to do this, and they've been doing it for a while, but now they have something to stand behind. And I think whoever it was that took out Charlie Kirk thought that they can squash that flame, squash that fire. And I think in the next few weeks to come, we're going to see people that could speak 2, 3, 4 times better than Charlie Kirk ever could because they were mentored by him. And they lit a fire. Like, just watch Candace Owens' channel. They lit a fire under her. She is basically not letting this go. She is going to uncover whoever it was, and she believes there's more than one person. So do I. She's going to find them unless they take her out. But there's going to be somebody else standing behind her. And then what? You're going to take everybody out? You can't do it. And I think this is why we've been talking about the rapture for the past few weeks on various channels, on Uptime Community Church, Bible Study with Derek, all these other channels, Departure Heaven. Some might seem a little bit extreme, like setting dates and that kind of stuff, but you can't help but look around and just go, it feels like you have to, en masse, we have to be removed from this planet, because all we're doing now is we're getting stronger. Our voices are getting stronger, and we're getting more bold by preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ and speaking for truth. And I think it's going to come to a crescendo where all of a sudden you get rid of a whole bunch of people like us all over the planet. You're going to have a vacuum, and you're going to have a void, and you're going to have to fill that. And I believe that's where the beast system is going to come in, because you've removed all the canaries. You can't have people like me around going, look, that person is like an antichrist. He speaks like an antichrist. He's coming against everything that Jesus Christ stood for and died for. There he is. There he goes. You can't have us around like that, because we'll be singing like canaries in a coal mine. We won't stop. You could take out Charlie Kirk, but someone else is going to stand in that gap. Somebody's going to stand in that place, and eventually you're going to run out of bullets. You're going to run out of bullets, because there's way more people that will step up that we can even that you can even imagine. There's more people out there. They just need a platform, and I think something like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok has just basically created a fire so that people can actually now start speaking the truth more boldly. And I think we're just right now, what feels like is almost like when a tsunami comes in and the water goes out, and then it feels like a calm before the storm, and then the wave comes back in and people are just preaching like crazy. Hey, Rick, how you doing, brother? If you want to come on, I can send you a link. Just let me know, man. Just say the magical word, and you can jump on. I watched a little bit of your show from last night. It was pretty good. Pretty good stuff. But yeah, I think this is creating a bit of a wave, and right now we can't see it because we're mourning the loss of one of our own, which is Charlie Kirk. And I have family in Phoenix, and they're saying there's already crazy stuff going on in Phoenix because they're going to have so many dignitaries. You should see the lineup for people that are wanting to speak at Charlie Kirk's funeral. And I'm going to be going live noon on Sunday, and I'm going to try and go live during the whole funeral. I don't know how long the funeral will be. Might be a couple of hours, might be 2, 3, 4 hours. Don't know. But I'm going live at 12 o'clock. So right when the funeral starts, I might start just a little bit before the funeral. So I'm going to church in the morning, come home, and I'm going to go live. And we're going to watch the funeral together. And I think it's important to have closure in this chapter so that we can open up a new chapter in memory of Charlie Kirk. And I think we need time for this. You can't just shut people down and say, don't talk about this anymore. It's been a week. Don't talk about this anymore. Do talk about this. Do remember what happened to Charlie Kirk. Don't forget about that. I haven't watched the footage of him getting shot because I don't need to see that. I like to remember how he was. I don't need to see any of the gore or anything like that. I've learned my lesson from 9/11 because I used to watch footage of people jumping out of buildings. And I was scarred for a long time. I couldn't get the image out of my head. And you wouldn't even really see close-ups of people. You just know that they're falling, and you can see just little tiny images, and that was enough. I wouldn't sleep for days. So something like this happens, I'm like, I don't need to see how Charlie Kirk got shot and all this kind of stuff. I don't need to do this. I don't need to go there. There's no reason for me, because it affects my spirit. And I don't think you need to expose yourself to that in order to understand what happened and how horrible and how wicked people are. You don't need to see blood and guts and gore. You don't need to see that. Children don't need to see that as well. So, yes, we're glad Jimmy Kimmel is gone, but there's going to be someone else that'll replace him and be just as bad, just as cunning, just as sneaky, just as horrible. Same thing on the right. Somebody goes down like Charlie Kirk, somebody just as good or better than how he spoke will come up. And they'll model themselves after Charlie Kirk. And you'll be proud of that person. It happened with Paul. Paul had a whole bunch of people that were emulating him, preaching the gospel, and getting killed for their faith. And I think there's going to be people that will be like that for Charlie Kirk. Just like there's bad actors, there's also good actors. Let's see here. Let me send, I don't know if Rick is around, but let me see if I can save this link here. I'll send it to him. Maybe he's up late. Let me see. All right. So the point is, this whole video is be careful what you wish for, because this can actually come back on us as well, especially when they're trying to push through laws centered around hate speech. You have to have it defined. And if you just create a category and say all hate speech will be penalized, you don't know what that means. Hate speech could be witnessing to someone. That could be considered hate speech. Telling someone that they're wrong for being a homosexual could be considered hate speech. Telling someone that it is wrong to abort your baby, to abort your child, could be considered hate speech down the road. So we are entering into a dangerous arena. This is not for the faint of heart. You have to be prayed up to have a channel like this where you're preaching the gospel on a daily basis. You have to be in the Bible every single day. You have to be read up. You have to be studied. You have to be prayed up. Otherwise, you will get lambasted. You will. And sometimes your own friends, family will turn on you as well, because this can cause a wedge. Preaching the gospel, speaking about what is truth, what is right, that actually creates a wedge in most families, on most campuses, in most churches. Wherever you go, if you're speaking truth, there is a chance that you're going to have pushback. And some people just come out swinging. And if you're not prepared for it, you're going to cave. Yeah, so I don't think Charlie Kirk is a Freemason. I didn't get that impression from him. But I get the idea that it feels like he's being sacrificed. I feel that somebody took him out for a bigger reason than what we're seeing right now. and there's more than one person involved. I feel it. I feel this 22-year-old did not act alone, and the idea that he was able to fire off one round. And if anybody's ever been to a rifle range, I have. You fire off one round so that you can kind of scope in your shot. You look at the wind, you taste the wind, you're like, oh, where's that? Which way is that wind going? And then you recalibrate your rifle. Maybe the wind pushed it a little bit to the right. Okay, now on your scope, you tweak it a little bit to the left so that when you fire the next shot, you're bang on. You have what's called groupings. This kid fired one shot, 22 years old, a marksman at the right time. And that angle was kind of crazy too when you think about it. Like there's no way you could see Charlie Kirk's head, and it's just so quick. And then to be able to have the time with the screwdriver to take apart a rifle, a single bolt action, take it apart, put it in your backpack, and then run, and then jump off the roof, and then find a forest somewhere. And then in the forest, in the bushes, you're assembling it while police are all around you, and you're putting it back together, and then you leave it. You leave evidence. It's not adding up. And I'm going to leave it like to people like Candace Owens to do the digging. And I'll watch her episodes because I'm telling you, she's going to uncover a lot of stuff. And I worry about that gal. I do. Sometimes I worry about her because she said on record that I don't care if they take me out. I'm exposing this. And I have text messages with people reaching out to me saying that there's something up and all this stuff. And she was asking people to come clear as well. The people that were at private meetings when Charlie Kirk was being forced or being pressured to dance. And he said, no, I don't care how much money you're going to give me. I'm not going to dance for anyone. And then he got taken out. So there's something fishy about this whole thing. There's something really fishy about it. And I called this right out of the gate. As soon as this happened, I went, this is a Black Swan event. It fulfills the three criteria, the main three criteria for a Black Swan event. The first one is it's highly improbable. Nobody saw it coming. If you saw it coming, you would have reported it to the police. You would have said Charlie Kirk is in trouble, but you didn't. So you didn't know it was coming. Instead, we're all shocked that somebody did something like that in broad daylight and got away with it. Well, person's caught, but I meant they actually performed whatever it was that they were set out to do, which was to murder Charlie Kirk. So the second thing is you have to change the world. And we're waiting on this right now. As in, you have to change your paradigm, your immediate sphere of influence. As in, there might be a change in how events are handled moving forward. Maybe you can't be out in an open crowd like that. Maybe you have to have more security. Who knows what it is? Or maybe they just say, no, it's not safe right now. We don't know. But in order for this to be a complete Black Swan, you have to have that world change. So, for example, 9/11 was a Black Swan event. Why? It fits all three criteria. The first thing, it was highly improbable that morning that you woke up thinking, you know what, this is a good day for the Twin Towers to go down. I just feel it. You didn't. It was shocking. And then the financial sector changed almost overnight. The airline industry changed overnight. And that's what I mean by their paradigm. The way that Americans conducted business moving forward when it came to air travel was changed overnight. That's a definition of a black swan. That world has to change. You couldn't see the pilots anymore. I used to talk to the pilots when they're flying. I used to go to the cockpit and look around and everything. You can't do that anymore. And there's a marshal on planes now. You get scanned everywhere you go, retina scan, all kinds of stuff. So we had to, in order for us to feel safe, we had to agree to giving up our freedom. And this is what I believe is going to be happening because of what happened to Charlie Kirk, is we are now going to give up a piece of our freedom. Why? Because we want to feel safe out in public when we're speaking. So we got to give up a little bit of our freedom. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that that's what happens. And then the third criteria is you get all the crazies coming out of the woodwork saying we should have seen this. Look at all the breadcrumbs. Look at all the posts for 9/11. We should have saw this. There was rumors over the radio waves that there was going to be a terrorist attack. Well, that fits the criteria of a black swan event, that you explain why it happened on the day that it happened, why it makes sense to you. But you didn't explain it before because you didn't see it coming. But you explain it away after. And that you need that to have a complete black swan. Has to be highly improbable. It has to change your world overnight, your paradigm, and you have to explain it away. Now we're almost at the phase now where we're explaining things away, going, oh yeah, the kid had mental illness. Oh yeah, it made sense. He started posting stuff that he didn't like Charlie Kirk. Oh yeah, it kind of makes sense. People are saying this and that. So they explain it away. Just give it time. But with a black swan, you also give up a little bit of your freedom. You give up a little bit of your freedom. Why? Because another hidden criteria of a black swan is you think this can happen again. A black swan cannot happen again the same way. That's the definition of a black swan. It's unique. So you get paranoid, and part of the DNA of a black swan is you overreact. Again, think of 9/11. They overreacted by saying no planes can fly in America. No planes. So they had to land at some airport, but for some reason they sent it to Canada. All planes landed in our airports. And I'm like, if you're worried about terrorists, why would you send them to our country? And if we're worried about terrorists, why was that okay? So you overreact. And I'm expecting, if people aren't overreacting, if authorities aren't overreacting with Charlie Kirk, it's not a black swan. If your paradigm doesn't change, like the way of doing business doesn't change overnight, it's not a black swan. So I'm expecting a wave of overreaction. Perhaps at Charlie Kirk's funeral, where there's going to be so much security over the top that resources are going to be exhausted. And they'll say, whether it's the Trump administration or whoever, the authorities for Phoenix will say, we can't do this for every rally. We can't have helicopters and armored vehicles for every type of a rally or every type of a funeral, because it'll exhaust us. We should be going after bad guys. We can't do this. We don't have the capability to do this. So therefore, we're going to have to reduce you guys to not speaking out in the open. and maybe you could only speak in front of 500 people. Don't know. They did it during COVID. They locked us down. They locked their churches down. They said you can only have 500 people. And then they said 300 and then 200 and then 100. But you had to wipe down all the chairs. You had to wipe down all the microphones. You had to wear gloves. You had to have seats removed so that every other person has an empty seat. I can see that happening in the weeks to come. We're still in the mourning phase of trying to figure out what happened. Like it's still unbelievable that Charlie Kirk died, and you're gonna get everybody from every side saying it's fake, it's real, it was planned, it was not planned. There's 50 people, there's one person. You're gonna get it all right now, and it's exhausting if you're gonna be watching the news every night trying to figure this stuff out. That's almost what they want you to do. And then they could start doing other things under the carpet, behind closed doors, because you're so focused on all this other stuff. Meanwhile, they're passing things to say, look, we don't want people speaking out in public, Christian or non. We're just going to squash everything. We don't know. If you say that can't happen here, that's the soil for a Black Swan event to happen in. When you say it can't happen here, Charlie Kirk could never be killed in front of his own people. And it happened. That's how a Black Swan event happens. It catches you off guard. All right. I think that's it for today. Hey guys, I'm late. Yes, you're late. You're an hour late. We're just going for an hour tonight. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I like this shirt too. This is from the King James Bible Museum. So Sunday, I'm going live throughout the day, and I'm going to try and record or try and go live for the duration of Charlie's funeral, Charlie Kirk's funeral, starting at 12 p.m. Pacific. I think it's 2 p.m. Eastern. So I'll start a little bit early. And if you want to join in watching the funeral at the same time with me, you can do that. And we can share our thoughts together as the funeral is progressing. So if you want to do that, I'll be doing that on Sunday. It's not an easy thing to participate or to watch, because there's other things that you can be doing on a Sunday afternoon. But I feel to have closure, healthy closure, where you can actually process and actually listen to the tributes to Charlie Kirk, I think that's healing as well. I think there's something special about that. Mourning with those that mourn, grieve with those that grieve. I think there's something healthy about that, because the alternative is to just go inside and be like, I can't express any emotions. This guy's a Mason. He's a Catholic. He's this, he's that. He said some crazy, like you're probably in a little bit of shock. You just don't realize it. You probably don't realize there's shock, because people mourn in different ways. Sometimes it takes us 2, 3, 4 weeks to properly mourn, and then wake up one day and go, holy cow, Charlie Kirk was murdered on American soil. Sometimes it just takes people time to wake up. Other people, as soon as they saw that, they're grieved right away in their spirit. They're like, this is something shift in the spiritual realm. There was a bit of a shift. There was a turning point. And I think we'll come back to September 10th and go, I remember that day that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and out of it, a revival broke out. A revival broke out in North America on all the campuses. I could see something like that happening very soon. Candace doesn't have the sound mind of Christ. I don't trust her. But you know what about Candace Owens? You want her on your side. You want her on your side. You don't want her going after you because she'll uncover everything. But if she's on your side, it's kind of like, to use a hockey term, it's like there's this guy called Matthew Tkachuk. He used to play for the Flames. On our team, he was like the best player. On someone else's team, we can't stand the guy because he's so good. He's so good at scoring and everything. And he won 2 Stanley Cups in a row with his team, the Florida Panthers. So Candace Owens is like that person. If you're not on her side, it kind of feels like if you don't agree with her, you're like, oh, she's too edgy for me. But if you have a loved one that was shot in front of you and you're good friends with Charlie Kirk, you want a person like Candace Owens on your side fighting for you while you're mourning the loss of your husband. Candace Owens is doing the deep due diligence and research, and she's not leaving any stone uncovered. That's what you can trust about her. She's like a dog on a bone, going after it. Yeah, exactly. There's just some people in the world that you don't want them to be your enemy. You don't want them on against you. You want them on your side. And I think Candace Owens is one of those people. Sure. And if you're new to Candace Owens, this is not something new. This is not something new. She did it with Bridget Macron. So you think that that was just an appetizer for her. That was just something for fun for her to do. And there was nothing they could do to stop her. Now she's on a mission. Why? Because you killed one of her close friends. Now she's on the mission. And I say, look out for those evildoers. Whoever was responsible for killing Charlie Kirk, she will be that person that will find them out. And you won't be able to destroy her. She's smart. She's playing chess while you're playing checkers. And she knows people. She's influential. So, anyways. Hey, brother. How's it going, Mr. Kevin Hickman? How you doing, brother? Man, it's a late night for you, bro. Late night for you. All right, so hopefully what I've been talking about tonight makes a little bit more sense. I think it's good to remember Charlie Kirk right now, especially for the next few weeks. I think it's just important because, let's be honest, that can happen to any one of us. Maybe not on that grand scale, but we don't know when our ticket is to be punched. We have no idea. It could be tomorrow. I have no idea. So this is why we go on shows like this. This is why we have platforms like this where we could preach the gospel of Jesus Christ to you and say, look, something's up right now. Something's up. And like my good brother Kevin says, the rapture is going to happen when the rapture happens. But you don't know when your time is up here, so you need to get yourself right with the Lord. You have to. And today is the day of salvation. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't put it off to tomorrow. I'm telling you, we're not promised tomorrow. Today is the day of salvation. So thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I think there's a reason behind this that right now we can't figure out yet because we're in mourning, we're experiencing loss. But I think there's some good that's going to come out of this. And we'll look back at this and look, you remember when that happened to Charlie Kirk? Remember what happened over here and how it exploded and everything? How revival came out of it? I don't know. I think there's something that God can use in this situation. I believe that. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging out with me for the last hour. Appreciate it. And don't forget to join me on Sunday as we watch Charlie Kirk's funeral. And also tomorrow I was going to do a video with Gary from the King James Bible Museum, but we're actually pushing it to Monday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, my time, noon Eastern. So we're going to be finishing off part 3, and that's going to be good. It's going to blow your socks off. We're going to finish the series, and people have been looking forward to that, so that'll be fun. That'll be on Monday, so watch for that thumbnail to show up as well over the weekend. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Yeah, for sure, Kevin, you're welcome. I'm pretty sure I sent you a link. Feel free to pop if you need me to send another link. Just feel free to pop by. Even if you can't stay for the entire funeral, I get it. But my plan is to go for 2-3 hours and just pay respects to Charlie Kirk. People will probably be coming and going on my YouTube channel, sharing their thoughts, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, thank you guys. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye for now.